Good morning, everyone. It is 10:50 on the East Coast here in Miami, Florida, and I hope that you all are doing well. So I've been grading the activity for 2-3, which is to create a little program, which I'll go over in a second. And some of the results of the grading were not as high as I would like, and of course, as high as you would like as a student, because you, of course, want to get the highest grade. So what I want to try to do is explain a few things that you can correct so that you can resubmit and get a little bit better score than what you have. And, of course, if you haven't been graded yet, then you have the opportunity to have that corrected as well. But basically what you're doing is you're writing a program that takes a string and an integer. So that means you're going to have one string and one integer. Now, I've gotten some programs that had 2 integers and no string, and one that had 2 strings, or 2 that had 2 strings and no integers. So you want to look at this thing first and just make sure that you're actually following the guidelines on it. And then it repeats itself, which basically you're going to be using a while loop. And then what you want to do is, to end the while loop, is the string is quit. So let's go and choose this as well. Remember, it says if it's quit, it disregards the integer. So then here's the result. So it should say quit, but if you put in quit and say 5, it should say quit and 5, but not print this there. So let's go look at the sample code that I have here, and then let's look also at the rubric, which should be this here. So here is the rubric in here. So obviously your code has to produce good results in here. So we want to look at that. So I put every code in Visual Studio. I run it and I test it to see if it's working. Obviously it needs to make sure that it's working. And so here, and you obviously, if it works 100% of the time, then you're going to get the grade here. If it works most of the time, but not all of the time, then here we have some industry's best practices. So look at the needs improvement, what the issues is, and the proficient. Formats code according to best practices, including inline comments, white space, variable, and method naming conventions according to that. That means you shouldn't have any one-letter variable names, and make sure that you're using camel case in here. The biggest issue is not the variable names or the white space, but the fact that there's no comments. So if you don't put any comments in the program, then of course you're going to get a needs improvement. So make sure that you're very clear on that. And then here, this is the actual efficiency of the code. So does it make sense? Is it doing extra things that it doesn't need? Are you adding extra variables that you don't need? So let me look at one, and of course there's no name on it, so you won't have to be worried. And there's more than one that's been submitted like this. So right off the bat, I put up top here what the actual program is supposed to do. In the very beginning, you would want to put, a proper way to do it is put your name. I just put your name here, and then put a description of what the program does. So you would just put in here, it's going to get a string and an integer, and it's going to print out what it's going to need to print out, and it's going to end when the user puts in quit. So let's look at this here. Now, whether or not you include string, this is just a side information. Unless you're going to use some of the string functions like at and insert and length, you don't need to worry about string, because the string data type here is actually included in IOString. But if you include it, that's fine, so not to worry about it. So now we have a Boolean condition called false, which I'm really not sure what the logic behind it is in here. So while condition equals false. Now, what I'm going to do here is show you a different way of doing it. Current C++ standards do not have anything equal to false or equal to true in a comparison. So if this is true, you would just do while condition. Now, I didn't take off for that, but I wanted to let you know that these are the ways that is your best practices, but whether you did it or not is not a problem. But this should have never been the while statement. But also, if you want to do something while false, you could do while not condition, which is equivalent to saying while condition equals false. So let's look at what the real while statement should look like. So the while statement should actually be while, and then we have the item does not equal quit. Because once it equals quit, then it's done. So here is another problem, is you would need here something to tell the user what to put. So I'm going to show you what you would want to put here. Please enter an item name or quit to exit the program. And then you would want to put a prompt so you know what to do for the number. So please enter the quantity. And if I could spell, it would be doing great. Quantity. I think I got it. So now when you run the program, the user knows what to put in. Otherwise, it would have a black spring and you'll be waiting for input and the user would have no idea what you need to put in there. So that's one of the things that we talked about with code efficiency. So now let's look at this statement in here. While num does not equal 0 or item does not equal quit. So that means that you can put in quit and 5 and it'll still work in here. So just remember that you want to have a simple while statement. While item does not equal quit, then you would not need this. So let's go and we will delete this here. And you can put over here and I'm going to delete this, and we don't need this. And I probably have an extra, let's see, we have the while and while here. So let's get rid of these. All right, so we didn't need those. So now we have one problem here. Because what's going to happen is while condition equals false, so let's go and change this to while item does not equal quit. So now we need to put this here because what's going to happen is it's going to run the while loop and it's going to go in here and it's going to print stuff. So what you want to do here is you want to, I'm going to put the prompt up here and then I will do a second part on how to do it as well. Because what we have to do is we need to prompt first, because if they type in item the first time, we want it to quit in here. So while if you type in item as quit, it's going to exit out right off the bat. Then, of course, we need to have it exit again. Otherwise, it's just going to keep doing this over and over and over and over and over again. So, let's see another one over here, and then we'll actually run the code to see if it actually works. So hopefully this is what you would want to do, and of course we don't need this. So let's go and now the program could possibly work, but remember that we have efficiency and things of that nature. So you're graded on a bunch of other things in here. So let's take a look at one more, and then we'll actually run this one. So let me copy the code over. And I'm going to delete this so we have a little bit more room. So now I have, let's see what I have here. What do we have? Oh, we have two mains. We don't need two mains. All right, so as far as a comment, declaring strings and integers will be used really doesn't tell a user who's looking at your code and maybe been asked to modify it. So you would want to put name of item to be used and quantity of item. And then this is kind of when you see in, you should know that that's input. So this is really not a great comment, but that's okay to put in here as long as you have what these are for. So create a loops for the above variables. So a real good comment would be to process until user puts in quit, or something to that effect. So now let's look at this code. While item does not equal quit, now first of all, quit is a string, but what is it defined as? It's not defined as anything. So if you were to type in item, what's going to wind up happening is item is C in item, and what is quit. Remember that you have to be very, very careful about that. So while item does not equal quit. So what happens if you put in something else? Now, then you have the integer. So you really don't need this. So what we want to do is run this program, and let's see what happens in here. Now, again, there are no prompts, so the user is not going to know what to do. So let's run this program and see what happens. And I have quite a few things open, so it may take a little bit of time to run. So now we have a screen that looks like this. So the user's not going to know what to put in. So let's put in apples and 5. So eating 5 apples a day keeps you healthy. So now let's type in quit and 5. Eating 5 quit a day keeps you happy. So why did that work? What happened here? So because we typed in number does not equal 5 in here, and it doesn't equal quit in here. So we want to be very careful about that. So basically it means it has to be quit and has to be something and does not equal 0. So be very careful so you can see how the code does not work. So you always want to test your code before you do it. And then when you get done, you have no idea. So let's bring this back in here. what you should be typing in there. So that is one of the issues that you have. So I'm going to put this on pause for a second, and then what I'm going to do is open up another one, and let's see if I can get a good explanation in some of the things that we can do to fix. Okay, I have another one in here. And again, the comment here, declare variables, is really not a good comment. This is okay, but loop until quit is entered is good. So now we have while word does not equal quit. So that means as long as it's not quit, so you're ending the word here. If you type in quit, this will never happen. Eating in here keeps you happy and healthy. So now you have get new user input. But let's run this program and see what happens. All right, so what do I type in here? So I'm going to, I don't know what I'm going to type. So let's test this program here again, apples and 5. And then let's type in 5 and apples. All right, well, we have a problem here because now we have an infinite loop. So because the user doesn't know what to type in, so while word does not equal quit, well, what's happening is it's going in here and it's recycling and going back and forth in here. So let's do it now again and see what happens. This time we'll type in apples and 5 again, pears, and say 4. And then let's type in quit and 5. That works. So the problem is the program does work, but the problem is the user does not want to put in. So when you get into the actual coding itself, then remember the user needs to know exactly what to do. So that is pretty much what we want to do. Now you could also do the same thing if you didn't want to have C in up top and have it in again. We could do this the same thing with do. And again, the way you do it is totally up to you. And then what we'll do here is, we don't need this. But again, this is just another way to do it. And you would need to put in what is the item in here. And then you would put this here. And then what would happen is the first time that's here. Now, the downside of doing this, so there's always a plus and minus in using a while and a plus and minus in using a do. Because no matter, if you put in quit, it's going to make it do this and it's going to print it anyway, but then it won't do it. So just bear that in mind. Always test everything. So in this particular way, this is the better way to do it. Because you want to make sure that you don't run through something a second time in here. So hopefully this video has helped you. Again, I highly recommend that you will go in there and I recommend that you go in there and that you will make any corrections that you need. I will accept corrections up till Friday, and on Saturday, whatever you submit is there. So this is an opportunity for you to get a little bit better grade. And please feel free to email me And now I play the organ in my church, and I have a funeral to play for Friday. So you might not hear back from me if you email me for Friday night or possibly Saturday morning, depending upon how long it goes. But I will get back to you, and I will provide you with his answer as quickly as possible. Now, one other thing that is highly important. In my feedback, I've tried to list everything that you did that took points off or caused you not to get things. For instance, no comments were given, or this code is invalid, or things like that. I tried to give you as much feedback. Please don't take any of it personal. The feedback is strictly to help you understand how to submit code that you're going to get a very high grade on. So please, again, like I said, please feel free to email me and let me know of any assistance that I can provide for you. I'm going to try starting next week to have some time that we can do a Zoom session. It'll either be on a Friday night or a Saturday morning so that you can get some live help. And I will be more than happy to do that with you. So with that, have a wonderful day, and look forward to seeing your future submissions. So have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day.